Well, interesting man. Scott Lang. You're an Avenger. You have a daughter. But you've lost a lot of time. Like me. We can help each other with that. Who are you? I'm the man who can give you the one thing you want. What's that? Time.
I can rewrite existence and shatter timelines. You cannot trust him.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much. He can give us a second chance.
Aloha. It's Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man. And this weekend, opening weekend of the new Marvel movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Well, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up, it's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And well, for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, newcomer Kathy Newton as Casey Lang, Paul Rudd's Ant-Man's daughter, Scott Lang's daughter. And introducing, once again, returning back from Loki, Jonathan Majors as the ultimate bad guy, Kang the Conqueror, who was introduced briefly at the end of Loki Season 1 and will be returning in Season 2. It is, overall, a shock a thumbs up. And, well, what can I say about this movie? Other than it has not gotten a lot of love on Rotten Tomatoes for some reason. And I was talking with some friends last night about why that could be. I'd already had my theory formalized, so we just discussed it. And, the reason it has, in the 50s on Rotten Tomato is that this movie, this is the start of Phase 5 of Marvel. This is the introduction of, say, like a Thanos level, or even, if you can comprehend it, a much greater threat than Thanos ever was to half of the galaxy. Because we're talking about not only the entire universe, we're not only trillions and trillions of people in our reality, but all through the whole multiverse. And he's already, as we find out in Kang, from Kang the Conqueror, in Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, that he's already destroyed countless multiverses and trillions of people. And against that threat, what hope can one small Ant-Man do against, as the director said he wanted Ant-Man to face, an Avengers level threat, far exceeding what we had seen in Ant-Man 1 or Ant-Man 2. And, he certainly does it here, because Kang the Conqueror is definitely an Avengers or beyond Avengers level threat, as we see. And bottom line is, without too many spoilers, Ant-Man and the Wasp are no match for Kang the Conqueror alone. But fortunately, they're not alone. Returning again is Michael Douglas, the original Ant-Man, and his wife, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, the original Wasp, both helping, Scott Lang and Evangeline Lilly's Wasp character out in this case. And Kathleen Newton, who has taken into her father's footsteps as being both aunt and giant woman in this case, instead, or girl, after her father Ant-Man, to help them out. But even all of that, which wouldn't have been much of a impact against Thanos alone, those 5, I guess, as we saw the entire Avengers struggle against Thanos and his armada. And believe me, Kang does not operate alone. He has his armadas that we see in this movie. So what is the problem? This is a very grand scale movie, and honestly, it is a little hard to understand and to comprehend if you are a casual Marvel moviegoer fan. Maybe not so much as a Marvel fan, but you will definitely have had to have seen Infinity War, Endgame, all 3 of the Ant-Man movies, and have at least watched all of Loki season 1 to really get a decent grasp of this movie and who Kang is. Even though you don't really need it, because it is all again explained in this movie, it really helps. And I think that's why the low Rotten Tomato score is so low than any other Marvel movie, around recently, just because it is that hard to grasp. People may have been fans of the first 1 and 2 Ant-Man movies, simple heist movies, but now you're getting a grand scope, a grand scale, revolutionary battle on a universal level of the likes of like Star Wars New Hope combined with that of Avatar, and as close as Marvel has come before in something so revolutionary has been Guardians of the Galaxy, as we are introduced to a new part of the MCU, the quantum realm, aka, as some comic Marvel fans would know, the microverse, although Marvel can't use that name anymore because that's associated with Hasbro toys and the Micronauts. But it was Marvel who had used that and coined that phrase in the comic books many, many years ago. And basically, again, the microverse is in the quantum realm where it's super extremely small, a universe hidden beneath our own. And we find out that that is where Kang the Conqueror has been exiled by his enemies to live out his remaining days imprisoned there. Unfortunately, before she was rescued, Michelle Pfeiffer's character finds him and helps him regain some of his technology in hopes of getting home herself. This is before Scott Lang got trapped there in the quantum realm at the end of Infinity War / Ant-Man 1, where we see him trapped and as everyone else is dusted, and leaving him there for 6 hours quantum time, but for 5 years, 6 years, by the time of Endgame rolling around. And during that time, Michelle Pfeiffer finds him, makes contact with him. This is all from Ant-Man Part 2, and devises a way for her to be rescued from the quantum realm. So right there, just in my explanation, I've hit on several movies that maybe the general moviegoer, they might have seen it, but they are not, let me remember these movies and what happened and what's going on, and then who are these weird aliens? Where are they? Are they in outer space? No, they're not in outer space. They're in inner space, to coin that silly phrase from that other movie. The microverse, the quantum realm, the universe beneath ours, so small you can't see it. So yes, it is hard to grasp for a general casual moviegoer. And that's why I think that Rotten Tomatoes' score is so low. But, make no doubt, this is an Infinity War level movie. And basically, Michelle Pfeiffer was one of these freedom fighters. Think the rebels in Star Wars against the evil empire led by Kang, in this case, who had taken over swaths of the quantum realm before she was able to escape, and coming back with all of them trapped there because of Casey Lang's inadvertent message that she was sending out to map the quantum verse, along with the original Ant-Man, Michael Douglas. They discover, Kang discovers them and pulls them back down to their level to get their help to escape. And once he escapes, to wreak havoc again upon not just this world, not just this universe, but all of the universes through infinity and time and space and other dimensions. Yes, it is a lot to take in, and that is how epic scope this movie is, launching off Phase 5. And, a true Marvel fan is just salivating at not only Kang and seeing him in full action, full beyond Thanos power level, even with the Infinity Stones, at just what he's capable of and how diabolical he is, but also seeing that he's not, as was discussed in Loki, not the only Kang around. As we see one of the end credit scenes, we see a plethora of other Kangs, which will have to be defeated either all together or one-on-one through other movies. The potential for maybe a Fantastic Four villain right there. Everybody's thinking it's going to be Doctor Doom again. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be this version of Kang who was a pharaoh in Egypt, as was in the comics. Perhaps that will be our first look at the Fantastic Four. So yes, true Marvel fans are salivating at the potential of this, as we see glimpses of the multiverse like we had seen in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and now that we might be able to see the rest of the Fantastic Four, maybe versus this Kang variant that they will have to face, possibly. Who all of the Avengers will have to face, who Jonathan Majors points out that he has killed time and time again, all of the Avengers, and can't even remember who Scott Lang is because of his insignificance, compared to any of the other Avengers that he's killed numerous times throughout other multiverses and times. Incredible is what I can call this movie. And, we get to see Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas really getting into the action this time around, not just being, yes, both of them are age 60s, 70s, both jump into this action and really take on meaty parts of not only the dramatic dialogue and backstory, but also of the action itself, getting into gunfights, space chases, through spaceships, you name it, and even in ways saving the day from everybody, where we get to see some of the original Ant-Man in action, with Michael Douglas redoing his role as the original Ant-Man, and why, even at such an age that he is now, he is still a phenomenal force, very much a Howard Stark, comparison there, and Tony Stark. So yes, I really enjoyed this movie. It is a shock a thumbs up. Again, you have my explanation why the Rotten Tomato score is so low, but the audience score is, like I say, a shock a thumbs up for sure for this movie. And you'll definitely want to go back and watch it again and again to get all the pieces of it. Where does this fit in to the MCU? Well, after Endgame, like the rest of the movies that we have seen. The Avengers are still a thing, kinda, sorta, but no mention of them being called together, or who is still in them, except for the Hulk and Ant-Man apparently. But they still do exist. And they will most likely have to come back together again in, what did Feige say, Kevin Feige? Kang Dynasty will be the next time we meet a full force Kang once more. And it will definitely take all of the heroes gaining together in strength to attempt to defeat this person as Scott Lang and the rest of his Ant-Man family, including the original Wasp and the original Ant-Man, had a hard time defeating him, and honestly didn't defeat him on their own. They needed an army, and not even one army was enough. They needed several armies in order to defeat Kang and his mighty army. Just this go around alone. So we will have to see what more lays in store for Jonathan Majors' rampage on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and who will be the next to be stomped under Kang's boot. There are a lot of callbacks. Like in the Avengers, where Hulk grabs Loki and boom, 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 throws him around, says, puny god, Well, Ant-Man, as Giant Man, does his best Hulk impression and grabs Kang and goes boom, 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 boom. But Kang ain't no puny god, and knocks Ant-Man back, just to say the least. So on that comparison level alone, you know that there's something more in store from Kang the Conqueror. As far, I don't want to go into too many more spoilers. You really want to get in and enjoy this movie multiple times. You've probably already looked at some of the end credit scenes. There are 2 end credit scenes. One just before the credits, and then a post-credit scene. Which I'll go ahead and tell you about. The first is we see the Council of Kangs, with the apparent defeat of Kang the Conqueror, unleashes the other Kangs to come out of hiding, essentially, so that they may take their shots at ruling the multiverse. No longer afraid of Kang the Conqueror, the ultimate of the Kangs, apparently, possibly. We'll see these other incarnations as they wreak havoc on the other parts of the multiverse and what heroes they go after next. There is some... and then after that, what is the other end credit scene? So there's that one. And then finally, the final end credit scene of the 2 is a preview of Loki season 2. Basically, you have Owen Wilson and Loki looking for Kang, their Kang, he who remains from season 1 Loki, before he is killed by the Enchantress, essentially. And they seem to find him in early 1800s, 1900s, Earth, and possibly before he becomes Kang as we know him. Maybe not. Maybe he's just hiding out there. But Loki is deathly afraid of him and warns Owen Wilson's Mobius not to be fooled by his weak appearance. And that's, setting up Loki 2 and, of course, probably the next couple of movies down the road. So, yes, I can't wait. And you shouldn't either. Go ahead and see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Once again, a strong shock of thumbs up. Don't be afraid of the Rotten Tomato score, but definitely do some homework and watch the other Ant-Man movies along with Infinity War, Endgame, and Loki Season 1, or at least just the highlights, especially the last episode, minimum, to fully enjoy the richness of this movie. All right, that's all I have to say. Mahalo and aloha.